Hey you! Yeah, you scrolling for something to watch. Stop right there. I think we can all agree that Tom Cruise is the last real movie star. Sprinting across your screen, flashing that $1 million grin, and carrying entire films on his charisma alone. In a world of CGI and franchises, this dude's still out here making movies feel like, well, movies. Today I wanted to lay out what I think are Tom Cruise's best movies that aren't Mission Impossible. So I'm gonna dive into the films that prove he's a legend beyond Ethan Hunt's death-defying stunts.
Man, that dude is crazy.
You suck, you jackass.
Howdy, thanks for clicking on this video to see what this jackass has to say. I appreciate you. Now I know what you're thinking. This list is gonna make me mad. And yeah, probably the internet's going internet. Call me an idiot, scream about my picks, whatever. But let's have some fun celebrating a guy who's been dropping bangers for decades like no one else. So before I unveil my top 10 Cruise classics, here's a shout out to 5 that just missed the cut. American Made. I think this is probably his most underrated gem. A Few Good Men.
You can't handle the truth.
Interview with the Vampire, because Vampire Tom is chef's kiss. Born on the 4th of July, total gut punch central. And Top Gun, yep, it's iconic, but to me, not quite top tier. Oh, and a quick note, I'm not counting Tropic Thunder here. I mean, Les Grossman is a chaotic masterpiece, but let's be real, that's not Tom's movie, even if he steals every single scene. So strap in, hit that like button, and let's dive into the 10 best non-Mission Impossible movies from the guy who's been Hollywood's MVP forever. Agree, disagree, or roast me in the comments? I'm ready. I think the beauty of this list is that these are just my picks. You got some better ones? Well, let's hear them. Shout them from the highest horse in those comments. Let's go. At number 10 on our countdown of Tom Cruise's best non-Mission Impossible films sits Rain Man. Rain Man's a 1988 road trip drama that earned Dustin Hoffman an Oscar while quietly showcasing one of Cruise's most nuanced performances. Let's be honest, this film could have been pure Oscar bait. Autistic savant meets selfish yuppie, cue the violins. But what I think makes Rain Man endure is the genuine chemistry between its leads. Sure, Hoffman gets all the showy moments as Raymond, but it's Cruise who really grounds the entire emotional journey as Charlie Babbitt. Some of the pros of this movie, I think, is that Cruise really holds his own against Hoffman's scene-stealing performance. In this movie, he proves he's more than just a pretty face in Ray-Bans. Their dynamic creates something truly special, a buddy film where one buddy literally cannot change. The Las Vegas sequence remains iconic, and Hans Zimmer's score perfectly captures their emotional journey. At times, the film leans a little too heavily into sentimentality, and Raymond's condition occasionally feels like a plot device rather than a fully realized character trait. And some people validly argue it trivializes autism for entertainment value. But what I think makes Rain Man so endearing is watching Charlie's rocky soul develop ordinary decency. When Cruise says, "I'm not doing this just for the money," in that pivotal scene with the psychiatrist, you actually believe him. It's the perfect showcase of Cruise's ability to make us root for someone who started as completely unlikable. In the end, Rain Man isn't just about Raymond's quirks, it's about Charlie's journey toward becoming a better human being. And that transformation is what I think earns its number 10 spot on this particular list. Coming in at number 9 is The Last Samurai. I'll probably get some hate for this, but The Last Samurai is a film that captures Tom Cruise at his most transformative. This 2003 epic follows Captain Nathan Algren, a traumatized Civil War veteran who finds redemption in the most unexpected place. What I think makes this film so special isn't just its breathtaking cinematography or Hans Zimmer's absolute banger of a haunting score. It's watching Cruise shed his trademark cockiness to embody a broken man seeking purpose. His journey from alcoholic mercenary to honorable warrior feels completely earned, not forced. The chemistry between Cruise and Ken Watanabe, who rightfully earned an Oscar nomination, creates some of the most powerful scenes in either actor's career. Now, I'm sure there's some of you out there thinking, isn't this just dances with wolves with katanas? And you know what? That's a fair criticism. And yes, this film takes significant liberties with history. I mean, look, I'm not a historian, but apparently the real Satsuma Rebellion wasn't simply about honor versus progress. Most samurai didn't live in picturesque mountain villages, and they actually used modern weapons happens during their final stand. But what The Last Samurai gets right is the emotional truth of cultural transition. That final battle scene, samurai charging hopelessly against Gatling guns, remains one of cinema's most devastating commentaries on the cost of modernization. Really, I look at it as a visual poem about tradition facing inevitable change. 20 plus years later, this film remains infinitely rewatchable, not for its historical accuracy, but for its emotional resonance. It's the rare Hollywood epic that treats Japanese culture with genuine reverence rather than exoticism. And while Cruise definitely has made flashier films, few showcase his ability to completely surrender to a character's transformation like he does in this one. The Last Samurai may be imperfect history, but to me, it's perfect storytelling. Sliding in at number 8 is Minority Report, the movie that made us paranoid about our smart fridges snitching on us in the future. Tom Cruise plays John Anderton, a cop in a world where crimes are stopped before they even happen, thanks to 3 psychic bath dwellers called precogs. But when the system predicts he will commit murder, Cruise inevitably does what he does best: runs, jumps through windows, and tries to outsmart a dystopian bureaucracy with more red tape than a government office supply closet. So what I think makes this film so compelling is that, first of all, Spielberg's vision of 2054 is both dazzling and unsettling. Cruise delivers a performance that's both action hero and emotionally raw, wrestling with grief, guilt, and the question of free will, all while dodging futuristic law enforcement gadgets that include the infamous Six Stick. I'm not sure I've ever looked at a baton the same way again. Sure, the plot gets a little too twisty and the ending wraps up a little too neatly, but the film's blend of action, noir, and mind-bending moral questions really makes it endlessly rewatchable. Plus, it's got Cruise leaping from car roof to car roof on a vertical highway, because why the hell not? Minority Report isn't just a sci-fi thriller, it's a warning about trusting technology a little too much, and a perfect showcase for Cruise's ability to anchor even the wildest stories with real human stakes. Coming in at number 7 is Eyes Wide Shut. So this was Kubrick's final cinematic fever dream, and what a way to drop a mic before exiting stage left. Released in 1999, just months after Kubrick's death, this erotic psychological thriller initially confused the hell out of audiences, who showed up expecting to see Hollywood's hottest couple getting steamy on screen, but instead got, well, whatever the hell the masked orgy scene was. If we're being honest, this film bombed harder than a Mission Impossible plan going completely wrong. It earned a brutal D- cinema score from audiences, with moviegoers practically sprinting for the exits faster than Cruise himself could run. Critics were equally baffled, calling it torturously paced and the ultimate insult, not sexy. But here's where I think it gets interesting, like that weird kid from high school who suddenly got cool after graduation. Eyes Wide Shut has aged like fine wine. 25 years later, it's now considered by many to be Kubrick's masterpiece. IndieWire even named it the best movie of the 1990s. Not just Cruise's best, but the best. Period. I mean, it's a 3-hour existential nightmare about marriage, jealousy, and secret societies that somehow manages to be both unsettling and mesmerizing. Cruise and Kidman deliver career-defining performances as a couple whose picture-perfect marriage unravels after an honest conversation about sexual fantasy. So while audiences in 1999 might have had their eyes wide shut to this film's brilliance, time has revealed what Kubrick knew all along. Sometimes the most uncomfortable art is the most enduring. Collateral comes in at number 6. Collateral's a movie that answered the question, what if Tom Cruise played a sociopath with great white hair? In this 2004 Michael Mann masterpiece, Cruise trades his $1 million smile for silver fox hair and a steel gray suit as Vincent, a hitman who essentially Ubers his way through a murder spree across Los Angeles, with Jamie Foxx's reluctant cabbie as his hostage/chauffeur. What I think makes Collateral so great is that, for starters, it's one of the rare films where Cruise plays against type as the villain, and boy does he nail it. There's something deeply unsettling about watching America's most likable action hero philosophize about Darwin and the I Ching right before putting bullets in people's heads. I mean, the dude murders to audio slave's Shadow of the Sun and what might be cinema's coolest soundtrack to Homicide. That scene with the coyotes crossing the street, pure cinematic magic that took 2 months to set up only for wild coyotes to randomly appear during filming. Mann's digital nighttime cinematography turns Los Angeles into a character itself. itself, a neon-lit purgatory where jazz club owners get quizzed on Miles Davis trivia before meeting their maker. The chemistry between Fox and Cruise is electric, with Fox earning an Oscar nomination for essentially playing the world's worst Uber driver with the world's worst passenger. Collateral isn't just a thriller, it's an existential nightmare disguised as an action film. It's the movie that proved Cruise could be just as compelling when he's running towards you with a gun as when he's running away from explosions. Coming in at number 5 is Edge of Tomorrow, or Live, Die, Repeat, or All You Need Is Kill, or whatever marketing executive Panic Attack was going by this week. This 2014 sci-fi masterpiece is the only movie in history that couldn't decide on its own name. Warner Brothers originally wanted to call it Edge of Tomorrow. Director Lyman fought for Live, Die, Repeat. And by the time it hit DVD, the studio was so desperate to salvage its box office that they practically erased the original title from the cover. But that aside, here's the thing. Behind this identity crisis lies one of the most ingenious action films of the past decade. Cruise plays against type as a cowardly military PR guy forced to relive the same alien invasion battle on repeat after getting doused in extraterrestrial goo. It's basically Groundhog Day with exoskeletons and Emily Blunt doing push-ups. What I think makes this movie so great is how it transforms Cruise's death into a punchline. The man dies more creatively in this movie than Sean Bean has in his entire career. Crushed by vehicles, shot in the face, and once memorably pancaked by a falling spacecraft. Each death is both hilarious and necessary as he levels up like a video game character. 10 years later, and we're out here begging for a sequel. Warner Brothers has been constantly asking director Doug Liman to make one, and both Cruise and Blunt have expressed interest. And the working title, Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat, because apparently they still haven't learned their lesson about confusing titles. Despite all its marketing mishaps, Edge of Tomorrow remains the perfect blend of action, comedy, and that rare blockbuster that actually deserved to make more money than it did. Sliding into the number 4 spot is Magnolia. Magnolia is the film that proved Tom Cruise doesn't need to be the main character to completely hijack a movie. In this 1999 Paul Thomas Anderson epic, Cruise plays Frank T.J. Mackey, a misogynistic pickup artist who teaches men how to tame women with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer to the nuts. It's essentially what would happen if Andrew Tate had acting chops and emotional depth. But what makes this performance so remarkable, in my opinion, is that Cruise, Hollywood's most bankable leading man, willingly took on a supporting role in a 3-hour ensemble drama and then proceeded to chew every piece of scenery in sight. His Respect the Cock seminar might be the most uncomfortably magnetic scene in 90s cinema. But just when you think you've got his character figured out in this, Anderson pulls the rug out from under you, revealing the wounded child beneath the alpha male facade. This role earned Cruise his last Oscar nomination. Yes, it's been 25 years since the Academy recognized him, and he actually won the Golden Globe for this thing. I don't even know what the hell we're doing here anymore. In a film just packed with acting heavyweights like Philip Seymour Hoffman, Julianne Moore, William H. Macy, and Jason Robards, it's Cruise's emotional breakdown at his estranged father's deathbed that leaves the most lasting impression, at least to me. Magnolia may be that film where it rains frogs, yes, actual frogs falling from the sky, but the real weather event is Hurricane Cruise, showcasing a vulnerability and rage we rarely get to see from him. It's the performance that makes you wonder what might have happened if Cruise had chosen more character actor roles instead of dangling from airplanes for the last 2 decades. Coming in at number 3 is Jerry Maguire. This movie gave us more catchphrases per minute than any film in cinema history.
Show me the money! Help me help you. Complete me.
You had me at hello.
It's like Cameron Crowe was writing a dictionary of quotes that would be overused at office parties for the next 3 decades. But beneath all those quotable lines lies the film that proved Tom Cruise could do more than just flash that $1 million smile and run really fast. As the sports agent who grows a conscience and promptly loses his job, Cruise delivers a performance that's equal parts charm, desperation, and genuine vulnerability. I think this movie showcases Cruise at his most human. A man who's entire identity is wrapped up in his career until he realizes that maybe, just maybe, there's more to life than commission checks. What makes Jerry Maguire special isn't just Cruise's performance, it's the perfect chemistry between him and the entire cast. Renee Zellweger as the single mom who had him at hello. Cuba Gooding Jr. stealing every scene as Rod Tidwell, the wide receiver with a Napoleon complex, who won an Oscar for demanding to be shown the money. And of course, how could we forget little Jonathan Lipnicki, the kid with glasses bigger than his head who knew the human head weighs 8 pounds. Jerry Maguire is that rare sports movie that isn't really about sports at all. It's about integrity, connection, and the terrifying realization that success might be meaningless if you don't have anyone to share it with. All these years later, and it's still the perfect blend of romance, comedy, and drama. A film that manages to be both crowd-pleasing and genuinely moving. Sliding into the number 2 spot is Risky Business. The film that launched Tom Cruise from that guy in The Outsiders to future global superstar. Faster than you could say time of your life. Released 40 years ago, this isn't just the movie that gave us Cruise dancing in his underwear to Bob Seger. I look at it like a cinematic equivalent of watching a supernova explode in real time. Before Risky Business, Cruise was just another pretty face in Hollywood. After it, a Golden Globe nomination and the unofficial title of America's favorite overachiever. As Joel Goodson, could that name be any more on the nose? Cruise delivers a performance that's equal parts awkward, charming, and surprisingly vulnerable. This isn't the confident Cruise we know today. This is a gawky 21-year-old somehow convincingly playing a high schooler despite having the bone structure of a Greek god. What makes this film endure 4 decades later isn't just the iconic Ray-Bans or that infamous dance scene that's been parodied more times than Cruise has run on screen. It's that Risky Business somehow manages to be both a raunchy teen comedy and a razor-sharp satire of Reagan-era capitalism. One minute Joel's turning his parents' house into a brothel, the next he's learning that prostitution and Princeton interviews really don't mix well. The film beat out heavyweights like The Outsiders and taps to become Cruise's true breakout, grossing a massive $63 million against its tiny $6.2 million budget. More importantly, it established the Cruise formula. Charismatic overachiever who learns life lessons while flashing that $1 million smile. Before he was hanging off planes or outrunning explosions, he was just a kid in his socks, sliding across a hardwood floor, and somehow that moment has outlasted most of his blockbusters. Risky Business remains the perfect time capsule of 80s excess and the birth of a movie star who would dominate Hollywood for the next 4 decades. Taking the crown at number 1 is Top Gun Maverick. The legacy sequel that didn't just stick the landing, it performed a 4G inverted dive over it while flipping off physics. After 36 years of waiting, Tom Cruise returned to the role that made him a superstar, and somehow delivered a film that makes the original look like the warm-up act. And it became the highest-grossing movie of Cruise's 4-decade career, which is honestly hard to believe, but damn, I love this movie. Maverick isn't just great because it made money because it's great. In an age of CGI overload, Cruise and director Joseph Kosinski put real actors in real F-18s pulling real G-forces. Those aren't digital sweat beads on Glenn Powell's face, that's the actual terror of flying at Mach 2. While Cruise, who insisted on this insanity, grins in the next cockpit over. The film masterfully balances nostalgia with innovation. Yes, there's a beach football instead of a volleyball, and yes, the Great Balls of Fire piano scene will make you cry, but the emotional core comes from watching Maverick confront his past through Rooster, Goose's son, while simultaneously saying goodbye to Iceman in a scene with Val Kilmer that's both a beautiful tribute to the actor's real-life health struggles and a perfect character moment. Maverick didn't just revitalize the box office after the pandemic, it reminded us of why we go to the theaters in the first place. It's not just about spectacle, it's about feeling something together in the dark. In an era of streaming and superhero fatigue, Cruise proved that practical stunts, emotional stakes, and actually caring about your audience can still result in cinema magic. That's why I think Top Gun Maverick isn't just the best non-Mission Impossible Tom Cruise movie. I think it's the best Tom Cruise movie, period. It's the rare sequel that honors what came before while flying higher than anyone thought possible. So there you have it, the definitive ranking of Tom Cruise's best non-Mission Impossible films. From dancing in his underwear to flying supersonic jets, the man has given us 4 decades of unforgettable cinema moments. Whether you're Team Maverick or Team Jerry Maguire, I think one thing's undeniable. We're watching the last true movie star of our generation continue to defy expectations, gravity, and the aging process. I'm sure there's some of you furiously typing that I criminally underrated Minority Report or the Vanilla Sky deserved a spot. Don't get me wrong. I love that movie. But that's the beauty of Cruise's career. It's so consistently excellent that we can argue about his best performances or movies for hours. Hell, the man's worked with Kubrick, Spielberg, Scorsese, Michael Mann, Paul Thomas Anderson, Ridley Scott, and practically every other directing legend, yet somehow remains uniquely himself in every role. If you enjoyed this countdown, go ahead and smash that like button, hit subscribe, and make sure you check out my Sunday live stream at 5 p.m. Eastern every single Sunday. Drop your own Cruise rankings in the comments. I promise to read all of them, even the ones calling me an idiot for putting Rain Man at number 10. Until next time, remember what Tom Cruise has taught us over these last 40 years. Sometimes you just gotta say, what the hell? Show them the money and fly into the danger zone. As always, the opinions in this video are mine and mine alone, but what the hell do I know? I'm but a mere jackass. I'll try to do better next time. Catch you later, friends.
That talks too much. I'm just a jackass of all trades. Don't know shit. I'll keep on talking, acting like I'm so legit. From politics to sports, I'll spout